I apologize if there's a hiccup on here and there. Today I'm going to talk about a winning title, a persuasive abstract. Sounds very interesting, yeah, especially for us researchers. We write papers every day, or every 2 days, or every week, or every month, or every year. So it is good to know something, especially to sell your idea, to sell your writing to the journals. Yeah, and as you know, we have many types of journals. You can go for GCR, the Scopus. You can go for Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Now we are talking about top 1%, top 10% of the journals. So it is very important for us to actually decide on what title to be used to excite the editor, especially at least on the first round reading. Yeah. So today I will try to share what I have done and what was my experience on some papers, and many of the things that I have got here is through my reference with the journal's editorial board, especially Elsevier, GCR journals, Sage, and all that. So this is a compilation of what has been said on this title, yeah, and also abstract. So when you talk about scientific writing, it is an essential task for all the scientists. If you are a scientist, you need to write, because otherwise people will know what you are doing. If you are a researcher, this is something is a must do for all researchers. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no need for you to do research if you are not going to share what you have experienced. It doesn't matter whether it's a good or bad one. You have to write it down, send it to journals so that other people can share. Yeah. So science, the credit goes in science. Credit goes to the man who convinced the world, not actually to the man whom idea first occurs. So you know what it means, yeah. Even though you have all good ideas, all creative ideas, but if you don't write, nobody knows about it. And the person who writes it, that's the one who will get the name and the glamour. Yeah. And this is not by me. This is from the Francis Darwin. Okay. Scientists also share their research and results with others. Yeah. You meet with colleagues, you present your papers in posters and conferences, you give lectures to students, but most of all, you write your papers, you get a much larger audience. So that's why it is very important for you to write a good one. So why do we have to write to scientific papers? What is your goal? Is it just to tell them what you have done? Or is it just to tell them the new technique that you have discovered, the new theory you have discovered? So you must know what you want to do when you write the paper. This is the thing. It's not just cutting here, cut here and paste there, and let it go like that. Yeah. So you need to know and need to be sure of what you want to tell the people, the readers. Yeah. And many of us would like to share our research results. That is a common thing. Yeah, but some people, they go for novelty, some people go for the new theory. So those are something that we have to decide ourselves. Yeah, and not just writing. When you write, you need to also think about how many people are going to read your paper. So that's why now citation is very important. People read your paper, they cite in their papers as well. So that is the measure of how many people write to you. So as you have seen H index number, you have heard about citation index. So these are important criteria to show how many papers how many people have read your papers, and that shows how good is your paper. Yeah. So because when people cite your papers, that means your paper is good. So this is what we are looking at. So it's not just publishing. So writing high quality scientific papers takes time, but it is time well invested. Yeah. So that's why some people only write 2 articles a year, but they're going for Nature. They're going for the very high 1% top journals. So it depends on us, because everybody have got their own KPI, everybody have got their goals. So, but at the bottom of it, you need to write. So the message is, make sure you know what you want to tell your reader. Yeah, be it in Nature, be it in Polymer, be it in some biomaterial journal. So you must know what you want to tell the people, what is the message that you want to convey to your readers. Yeah, so that's why you have to think about this before you start writing. What is your main message? So what is a good scientific article? What is novelty? People talk about novelty. Is it just for a communication? For you to just tell people what you have done, what you have find out? Yeah. So many of us, we write because we want to have our degree. You know, that is one of the conditions for you to get your PhD, for example. You need to publish 3 papers in quarter 1. But that is to start with. But later on, when you become a researcher, you become an academician, you become a scientist, you want to write because it is something that a scientist, whether it's researchers or what, should be doing when they are doing research on their own. So in our world, scientific paper is the one that we are talking about. You can write in magazine, you can write in blog, you know, but the way, the method, the format that you are writing, the tone, the intonation that you use is different. Scientific paper is very different because you are being evaluated, being assessed, being examined by your peers. Yeah, it's a peer-reviewed article. So people of your standing, people of your area is looking at what you have done, and they are reading it critically. So that's why you have to be careful when you write scientific paper. Yeah, and of course, in scientific paper, we always maintain high standards of quality, especially in the methodology. The methodology has to be valid. People can report. People can repeat as well, and the result is not at flaws. Yeah, and of course, writing is important so that people can understand. Now, there are 2 types of people. One is systematic review. You can review a data, review a secondary data, review a certain many literatures, and write a review on it. Or you can also publish, or you can write an original article that is directly from your study. Yeah, and it is based on original analysis. So this is the most common scientific writing that we have. So basically, elements in scientific paper, you always have all this. Yeah, the title, abstract, keywords, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, acknowledgement, references, appendices, if it is relevant. Yeah, some journals require that. And what we want to talk about today is just title and abstract. Yeah, but I'll mention a bit on the keywords as well, because keyword is as important as the rest of it, because most of us think little about keywords, because this is the last thing that we want to do. Yeah, we just put in whatever terminology that you use. But it is, for your information, keyword is also important because that will give you the exposure of the paper. Yeah, people will look at the abstract, the title, the abstract, and also the keywords, yeah, in the database. So all these 3 is very important. And if you look at the system, the process in publishing your paper, the first thing that people look at, the editor will look at, is your title, your abstract, and of course your keywords. So these 3 things is very important, which is the key to publication success. Because if this is lower quality, poor quality, the editor will not look at the rest of the paper, even though it is a good study conducted by you. Yeah, so that's why you need to pay an extra care when you write these 3 things. So it is like a generation, because people will look at, of course, the title, then they look at the keywords as well. Then later, if this interests them, they will look at the abstract. Yeah, and then they will only look at the text. Yeah, so it's a chain reaction. Keywords to help people find the research paper, effective title to entice and draw the reader's attention, and abstract to further trigger the reader's interest and maintain their curiosity. So that's why it is important. Without the title, abstract and keywords, the key marketing tools. Yeah, it is a marketing tools actually. If you look at it in a different way, these three things is the marketing tools, because people will look at these three first. Yeah, so if these three elements is not being done well, most people may not never been read, or even found. So that's why your citation number is low. So you want people to read at your paper. You publish, yes, but the most important thing is for people to read and to cite. Now, not just cast it aside. So to do that, you must have this a very good title, abstract and keywords, as your marketing tools. Now, the title usually have about 10 to 12 words long. You don't want that too long. People, then you lost the meanings of it. Yeah. Use descriptive terms, phrases, and accurately highlight the core content. So you must have that. What are you doing? What is the thing that you want to report on? The subject matter. How do you go about it? Maybe a technique, mention about the technique, and for what? So that's the title. You need to have that within that 10 to 12 words long. Yeah, too short may not give you the extra mileage. Too long also will lose the interest of people, of the readers. Yeah, but the title for scientific writing is different than the title if you were to write in a magazine. Magazine probably is a different way, different intonation that you want to put in, because you have a different audience. But for scientific writing, you must have all these descriptive terms and phrases to accurately highlight the core content. Yeah, the abstract will provide. Yeah. Pardon me? Anybody asking question?
Who wants to write this?
I can't hear you. Killing, you hear the question?
No, I couldn't hear the voice clearly. Probably we just leave the question during the Q&A session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you put in the chat.
Or you can. Yeah, you can leave the question in the chat room. I can read it out later.
Yeah, I'll give you some examples later on. Yeah. Okay. The abstract to provide a quick and accurate summary of the paper. Remember, the word is the keyword is accurate. It has to be a short, a brief, accurate summary of the paper to help the reader decide whether the rest of the paper is worth reading. Okay, that's how important it is. If it is not that good, then your paper will be cast aside. Yeah, if the English is not correct, then the paper will be put aside. Yeah, nobody wants to look at it. So, and your keywords, of course, this is even though it has no merit during the evaluation of the paper, but keywords is very important, especially in the database when it is being indexed for other people to find out about your work. So it's important for the later reference of article. Now let's look at what a winning title means. Yeah. First, how do you choose a title? Yeah. How do you choose a title? It's one thing to write great content, but it's another thing to get it read and ranked. Yeah. So remember, there are so many people sending to your to the journals. Yeah. So editors have got thousands of papers every day. So how do you get these people to be interested in your paper? Yeah, so the title must be, you must nail them by having a very interesting title. Okay, titles that can sell the content. Yeah, it's like doing some selling of your product. That is what we are doing actually. Yeah, so it has to be simple, brief, clear, and attractive. Yeah, it has to be attractive to precisely tell readers about the research paper. And this depends on which journal you are sending. If you are sending to Polymer, for example, the way it is written, the one that will catch the editor's attention will be different than if you send to Carbohydrate. If you send to Carbohydrate journal, it will be a different one. If you send to the Forestry, for example, it will be a different kind of attraction. Yeah, so that's why when you do your when you want to report your study, when you want to choose your journal, be careful about which journal you are talking about. You cannot just send whatever you send to polymer to carbohydrate, for example, to industrial crop, for example, because they have their own niche. Yeah, so you need to understand what is their niche. Then change whatever paper that you have. Maybe the paper has been rejected in one journal. You want to send it to another journal. You need to rewrite a bit, yeah, to conform with what is their niche. And of course, it has to be grammatically complete, right. And but there's no need to have a complete sentence out of it. Yeah, because it's a title. You don't have to have a complete sentence. Yeah, there is no period at the end of the title, so you don't have to have a complete sentence. Yeah. Avoid redundant words like verbs and best. Yeah, like verbs. Yeah, you don't put that one in. Waste word, make title long and distracting. Yeah. Good research papers, usually 10 to 12 words. Use descriptive terms and phrases that accurately highlight the content. Remember, it has to highlight the content. Yeah, the core content of your paper. For example, if you study the species, yeah, mention about the species, what species that may attract the attention of the editor. Yeah. If it is a technology, you want to report something on the technology, a new technology or modified technology, so it has to be spelled out in the title. If you want to sell something about your theory, new theory, then it has to be also mentioned in your title. Okay. So, what is the process of choosing a title? Yeah. It may seem a simple task, but it requires a really serious thought. Yeah. So that's a saying that judging a book by its cover. This is correct. This is true. You don't like it. You don't like this, but it is true. This is what people do. So it's just like your paper. Editor will judge first about your title, then your abstract. So as I said, title and abstract is the sole factor influencing their decision of whether to read or skip a particular paper. Yeah. And the title has to capture the reader's attention. Again, that refers back to your types of journal. If this is carbohydrate, it has to, carbohydrate, you have to talk about carbohydrate, right? You cannot talk about the composite there. So you have to change a bit. Even though the context may be of a similar thing, but you need to change the title according to the journals that you are looking at. Okay, and of course you need to the title need to be indexed for an article, and that's why your title is important. Okay, so the best judge of the title will be the author, because the author is the one who did the work, who knows what they are doing, who also know what message they want to convey. Okay, so you are the one who knows what are the best titles for your paper. You cannot write a different paper, a slightly a different title than the content that you are reporting. Okay, again, title is important because of the database, because all database collect title.
Okay.
Yes. Anybody talking? Okay. All the database collect title, keywords, and also abstract. This is how you expose your paper to other people. Yeah. Some editors were saying that numbers should be spelled out. Yeah, if you mention within 7 cities, for example, motivational factors of 3 ethnic group, for example. So you have to spell out THREE, not just number 3. Yeah, and if you use scientific name, it has to be utilized. Yeah. So in summary, a good research paper will have these criteria to condense the paper content in a few words, capture the reader's attention, differentiate your paper with other paper of similar field, and it has to adequately describe the contents and the purpose of your research. It's not easy. You have to comply with these 4 within 10 to 12 words. So it's not an easy task. It is difficult. Yeah. So basic tips on writing a good research paper title. Yeah, so I got this from Jensen's 2017 in her book. It was quite a good guidelines for scientific writing, and she listed some of the titles, title format that you can follow. Yeah, because even different journal will have different format of title. You can even have subtitle. People like to use semicolon. Yeah, you have subtitle, especially for the social science. Yeah, so you can have that. Yeah, and for this, it is actually not that easy, but it is more difficult to do, especially if you were to do review paper. Yeah, usually for review paper, you have this kind of format. Titles with subtitle. Yeah. Another common structure is stating the method. You mention the method there because this is the thing that you want to highlight. So you have to mention the method there. Yeah. Some people write just a species because they want to. The message is to the reader is to introduce a new species or new varieties of this kind. Yeah, so you put in your species. Journals, especially for medical field, usually prohibit declarative of titles that state findings. Yeah, you cannot put your findings there. The use of these increase in you cannot do that. Yeah, because it's already, if you know the findings already, nobody wants to read your paper. So in some journals, especially the medical field, they do not like this. Yeah, for some paper in polymers, in some composite papers, that may be acceptable. But several leading biology journals, however, like this format, while other fields like math and physical sciences and economics doesn't like it. They don't like it. Yeah, so you need to check the requirements. Yeah. I think we seldom, during my early years of writing, I seldom check with this kind of guidelines. You know, you just write, you look at the general guidelines and then you just write your title. But some journals are very specific on this, especially those at the higher level quota. Yeah. Question, wordplay, and other witty titles are on the rise but are still uncommon, yeah, especially on scientific. Yeah, but it is now acceptable in some journals. Yeah, a title with a question at the end. Yeah, and some very witty titles. Yeah, people put in. Yeah. However, this kind of paper is has received very low citations. Yeah, so you got to think about that. Yeah, it may be sounds attractive and interesting, but not many people like to cite this kind of paper. Remember, there are 2 things of that the scientists have to do. One is to publish paper, and secondly is to get their paper cited. Yeah, that is our role. The other tips is on the information that you need to include in the title. Yeah, remember we have 4. You have to condense. You have to clear. You have to look for clarity and so on. So a lot of things within that 10 to 12 words. Yeah. So titles with specific taxonomic or regional descriptors may not survive editorial review. Yeah. So don't discard taxonomic or very technical terminology inside your title, because it's seldom accepted by the editorial. Yeah, because this type of information will likely attract a limited readership. Remember, a journal is just like any other magazine or any other. The more the readers, the better. So they will always look at first the interesting one, the latest, the recent one, the latest update of your reports, a novelty, and so on. So that's why avoid to have specific technical or taxonomic or regional descriptors on your title. So highly competitive journals are focused in broader implication papers. Yeah, so not to generalize, but it can be read by many fields of research. Yeah, to specifically maintain the title, it is hard for the editor to find reviewers. Yeah. However, in some areas, highly specific titles is also good. Yeah, if it is got published. Yeah, and the citation number also is good because it is very specific. Only specific peers will refer to the paper and cite it. You know, once they refer to the paper, they will cite it because this is very specific. Yeah, certain drugs, for example, certain this technique they use for lamination, maybe, you know, that will be read by that group of people, and they make sure we cite it. So not necessarily it's not good for the titles, it is good for your citation number. So another thing is using uncommon words in title could backfire on you. Yeah, uncommon words. Yeah. We thought that it's very bombastic words and all this, but it's not usually good. Yeah. So focus on common terms. They are relevant to your topic and specific enough to indicate substance of research. Yeah. Title length. Yeah. Too long or too short, do poorly at editorial review. Medium is moderate title is good. Yeah, moderate length of a title. Yeah, but length seems to either have little impact on or show weak correlation with citation success. Yeah, again, citation and the title length has no relation, no significant relation. So, but title length will definitely attract editorial review. Yeah. The average length is, as I said, many people put 10 to 20 words, so it must be true that. Many references that I looked at cited that 10 to 20 words is good enough for the title length, so not more than that. For math-related titles, slightly shorter because you are very specific. Medical titles can be slightly longer, usually it's longer, 3 lines perhaps. Yeah, I've seen up to 20 papers, 20 words for medical. Similarly to economics. Yeah, because you are looking at socio-economic kind of analysis, modeling, this and that, you will have that. Medical will look at the clinical test, this and that, between this and that. So that's why the title becomes longer. Yeah, but normal scientific article will have 10 to 20 words. Yeah. But lately, I've seen that papers have co-authors, many co-authors. So reviewer will look at, let's say you have 20 co-authors, but the study only reported on very few things. So it doesn't seem right, right? So if you have more co-authors, there should be more results to be reported. Yeah, please put this in mind. You cannot just put in numbers of people inside, any numbers of people. Of course, it's your right, but the editor will look at how much work has been reported and how many co-authors that will be that's involved in writing the papers. Yeah, that's why some journals, they even ask what is the role of the co-authors, right? This one will look at the analysis, co-author B will look at the testing of this, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think quite a number of journals requested the author, the corresponding author, to list down what is the role of the co-authors. Yeah, and these are all the top notches journal. So I'll give you some examples. Yeah, let's look at what is the original title, the revised title, and the comments on it. And you can have a look and you understand what we have been talking about for the past 15-20 minutes. EU Water Framework Directive, this is one title, yeah, colon, measures and implication. You think this is a good one? No, it is not. Yeah, the revised one will have that the EU Water Framework Directive, cost, enforceability, and the prospect of implementation. If you compare these two, you can see that this one tells you more about the study. This one doesn't tell you nothing, isn't it? You think that? So does not, the original one does not inform about the purpose of the research. It's just a statement. Yeah. The author only analyzing a legislative piece called the Water Framework Directive. Yeah, that's all. And then measures and implications are descriptive. Yeah, of course, when you measure, you have the implications. In order to have the implication, you must measure. So you don't have to mention that, right? So it's a duplicating, redundant terms. This is what we meant by redundant terms. We always do this. We usually didn't realize that. Analyzing a legislation, automatically it will describe measures and its implications, right? So you don't have to mention that. And when you look at this, it's a boring topic. What is it? You don't know what they are doing. Yeah, you have to read the abstract, you have to read everything else. Then only you understand. But with the new revised title, you can see that this is what they want to do. And then, well, I'm interested in it. Yeah. Second example, if you look at this one, let's say drug XYZ has an effect of muscular contraction when our instance of Achatina fuchsia species. Yeah, you have already the result, has an effect. So why you want to study anymore? Yeah, even though it's simple and short. Yeah, so it doesn't describe what you do. So if you revise it, it sounds like drug XYZ induces muscular contraction in Achatina fuchsia snail. Yeah, that with this new title, you the need to read more. You create that needs. Yeah, you excite the editor to read more. Yeah, the abstract. The third example is comparative analysis of the tensile strength of bamboo and reinforcement steel bars, a structural member in building construction. Mouthful, isn't it? It's too long. And many redundant words and meaning. Comparative analysis. Yeah. Of course, you have these two. Of course, you compare. You don't have to mention you want to compare it. Right? And then you have a structural member. Of course, structural member is used for building and construction. You don't have to mention that one. Yeah? So the revised title would be Bamboo as Structural Members, comparison with reinforcement steel bars. Right? Much clearer. And when you talk about structure, you don't have to mention the tensile strength. You know it's already a strength. Some strength is being compared. Yeah. More examples. Let's see, sleep disorders in children, a national assessment of primary care pediatrician practices and perceptions. Okay, so do you know what are the study about? Yeah, so the revised sounds like pediatrician's perception and practices for sleep disorders children. See, it was very simple. And you know what is the study all about? It's about the perceptions of the pediatrician on the practice for sleep disorders. Yeah. Next, use of models to identify cost-effective interventions, pertussis vaccination for pediatric health care workers. Okay, again, use of models. Of course, you want to do cost-effective analysis, it has to have a model. So you don't have to mention that actually. Yeah. Okay, so basically this is the subtitle. This is the subtitle. So the new revised title should sound like cost effectiveness of pertussis vaccination for NICU workers. And in title you are allowed to put abbreviation, yeah, provided that abbreviation is a common one. People understand that. Yeah, not the uncommon one, the common one. Yeah. Okay, next is a multinational approach on different motivational factors which increase job satisfaction and retain employees of Generation Y. This is also a very long title. Too long, redundant words. What approach they used to do this this multinational approach? What approach is that? It was not mentioned. Yeah. So if you want to revise it, you need to know what is the approach they use. What approach to use to increase job satisfaction and employability among Generation Y. Yeah, I don't have the paper, so I don't know what kind of yeah. But you can also put multinational approach here. Yeah. Another one is effects of drug A on schizophrenia patients. Study of a multi-center mixed group. Still redundant. Multi-center mixed group. Yeah. Multi-center is already implying it's a mixed group. So now you put multi-center mixed group. Yeah. So by that it should be psychosocial effects of drug A on schizophrenia patients, a multi-center randomized control trial. Now this is on medical. Yeah. Again, another one, influence of harvest time and soil type on the biochemical, thermal, and mechanical properties of kernel fibers. Yeah. Comment usage of wrong terminology, harvest time. What does it mean by harvest time? When I check with the abstract and all that harvest time is actually inferring the age of the plant. So harvest time here, the terminology is wrong. Biochemical, what is the chemical composition? Mechanical properties, only about tensile strength. So you are actually putting something that you don't do. That is a big no-no. Yeah, it's a big no-no to put something that you haven't done. Yeah, or giving you a different meaning. Yeah, so the title, maybe the new title should sound like properties of kernel fiber as affected by plant age and soil type. Good enough. Yeah, and for this, if you want, in the keywords, you can put the chemical composition, thermal, tensile strength, and so on. Yeah. Okay. Again, some titles that is being reported in references. This part here on the left is never cited. Yeah, it gets published, but it was never cited. This is from the editor of the journals. Yeah, so if you can look at the titles here. Yeah, it's all long title, never gets cited. Look at on the right hand side, this is well cited. Many of these papers were being cited. Essential fatty acid, biochemistry, physiology, and pathology. This review paper, yeah, review paper is very general. Yeah, you look at this one, all this. On research article, yeah, very short, yeah, and it's all well cited because it is very specific to the study. Yeah. And again, on the right hand side, very low cited. Sorry. I've got another one, I think. Oh, okay. This one on the left hand side, low cited. Again, long title. And on the right hand side, very well cited. Yeah, that's how to increase those citation number. So, what are the do's and the don'ts when you write in your title? Keep it short, but not too short. Yeah, it should be interesting, descriptive. Don't forget descriptive, and accurately reflect of your work. Yeah, you need to reflect you. What is it that you want to report? Yeah, don't use a question or complete sentence. Yeah, try to avoid this, even though some journals accept, but try to avoid question. Yeah. Yeah, instead of putting a question, provide an answer. That's what the editorial members usually recommended. Don't oversell your manuscript. Yeah, you easily say that novel method for this. Is it novel? When you said novel is one of a kind, so you need to really use it sparingly. Yeah. First time trial in you cannot claim that if it is not. But if it is truly is, then it's okay to use. Yeah, but don't just put it there to sell your title, your paper. Yeah, the editor will know, the examiner, the reviewer will know. Yeah, because these are the people who are in your line, in your field. Yeah. Number 4, mention the organism. If you are studying the varieties, the species, whether it's for plant, for animal, for bacteria or whatever, mention the organism's scientific name. Yeah, that will help editor to consider. Yeah, usually. Use other keywords that readers will search for. Yeah, so look at what are the common things with other people. Even though you cannot have the same paper as the others, but you need to also look at what have other people done in the same topic. Yeah, and place your most important terms at the beginning and the end, because when you read the title, you usually read the beginning and the end. So the most important term should be in the beginning and at the end. Yeah, so that is important. Yeah, I myself also, through my experience, I sometimes forget about this. But this is true. This is what the editors will do, yeah, during the process. Only mention the methods used if the technique is the primary focus. So if the method is just a normal method, you don't have to mention it. But if it's really a new method or a modified method, and it is really your work, is your study, then you should mention the method. Yeah, otherwise you don't have to mention the method. Yeah. Okay. That's on the title. Yeah. Let's look at the abstract now. The abstract is a totally different story. Yeah, it's like a movie trailer. Before you look at, if you put yourself in the editorial board, you have to look at the thousands of paper. Yeah, how do you choose which one is good, which one is not so good, which one is poorly written? Or the other one is good, very well written, but nothing much in the content. Yeah, so the abstract will tell you that. Yeah, so it's just like movie trailer. Even before you go to your cinema, you look at the movie trailer, right? You Google, tengok movie trailer ni is good. Now, oh, this is interesting. Then you go. And then you go and watch, and then you came back, you feel very disappointed. Movie trailer says a lot of things, but the actual thing, no, not so much. Yeah, that's how your abstract should be. Yeah, it should become the movie trailer to entice people to go and read. Yeah. And remember, the process is the editor will look at your papers, read the title, read the abstract, and then if it is good, they will assign the reviewer. Yeah, so you have to cross this section first. Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, decide on the message. This is very important. Sometimes people, the papers that I look at, they just take in the conclusion, whatever it has, whatever it is, and then put it in the abstract. It is not the way you are doing it. First, think about what actually you want to, what is the most important thing that you want to convey in your abstract. This study is about what? What is the major achievement? What is the major findings that you get? Does something, you do this, it changes this. Okay. This is a new theory, no? Or is it a new method, a new approach? Right? Or is it just to report on properties of new resources that you just found? You have found, yeah. So the message is very important. Yeah, it's not just cut and paste from conclusion or from your methodology and from your introduction. That's what I find in many papers, and you even use the same sentences. You just cut off a bit from the introduction, from the methodology, and cut it a bit on from the conclusion, put it in your abstract, which is very, very wrong to do it. Yeah. So when you know what is your message, once you know what message you want to convey, then you start thinking about how you want to introduce the subject matter, right? Because you know that your abstract offers a preview, highlights, key points, and help the audience to decide whether to view the entire work or not. Yeah, you want people to read your paper, so they need to read the abstract first, and it has to be interesting enough. So abstracts are the pivot. Pivot is like a center of things, where you can turn right or turn left, go up or go down. It's a pivot. Yeah. So that is what abstract is. Yeah. So for the editor, once they read the abstract, they will decide whether to reject it outright or to be considered for a review. Okay, so you have to tackle this one first. You want the editor to be interested and call for a review. Okay, abstract will be the first and possibly only thing that readers will access through electronic. This is other than the rest. Abstract is important because, as I said, database contain title, abstract, and keywords. So you need this so that your work being exposed to many people. Yeah, and for abstract, usually between 100 to 300 words in length. Yeah, 100 to 300 words. And you have two types of abstracts usually. Those you use for humanities and social sciences, which is usually descriptive. Yeah, it describes the topic of research and its finding, but usually doesn't give specific information about methods and results. Yeah, because usually social science do the survey, one-to-one interview, this kind of thing, you know, so they don't actually describe so a lengthy one on that. But for scientific writing, methodology is quite important. So you have to briefly describe what you have done, yeah, in the study. Yeah, and of course, other than that, you must have the background, the result and conclusions. Whether some journal allow subheading, but many journals doesn't allow that. It has to be a one paragraph write up. 4 basic features in abstract. First, the purpose. What is the purpose of the abstract? Yeah, it's not purpose of the study, purpose of the abstract. Your message, what you want to tell people. Yeah, accurate overview of the study, the main finding, the key findings of that particular study. Yeah, so that's why you should have the introduction statement so that people know what is this all about, what are the problem or the issues, and what you are trying to solve in only 1 or 2 sentences, and then the objective, methodology, key results, and implications or conclusion. So these are the things that you need to have. You have to tell people. Okay, the importance of abstract. You have to persuade someone to read the whole article. That is your target. By writing the abstract, they will want to know more about your paper, about your study. Yeah, and your abstract must have goal. When you write your abstract, you must have a goal. You want to convey the result, the message. What are the message that you want to give to these people? And whatever you put in, you shouldn't put something that is not in the paper. Yeah. So whatever you have, results that you have in the text, should have in your abstract. Okay, and of course you have to follow the guidelines of your journal. I think except for medical journals, other journals is about the same. You only have 1 paragraph kind of abstract, but for journal medical, they have a slightly different format. Yeah, the structure usually it is an outcome measure. Yeah, and an intervention that you need inside the abstract. Yeah, again, your target is to get published and to get cited. Yeah. So basically, there are 3 types of abstract: descriptive abstract, informative, and structured abstract. Yeah, the first one is mainly for social sciences and humanities. Scientists use number 2, and medical usually use number 3, structured abstracts. So they have objective, method, results, conclusion on that. Yeah, usually when they are using clinical trial reports. Yeah. So what are the general steps when writing an abstract? Okay, when you start, first you begin by asking questions. Ask yourself, what problems are you trying to solve? Because many people forgot to do this. Many people forgot to do this because if there are many similar studies being done, but you have to mention specifically what you are trying to solve. That will get to the editor much better. What motivated you to do so? Yeah, so the issues, the problems, okay, you can put that one in within the introduction. And then, of course, the objective and conclusion. Okay, and then after answering that question, how do you go about achieving your objective? That is a methodology, of course. So summarize your methodology in a few sentences. You have to describe the whole thing. Omit the detailed information about sampling numbers, this and that. You don't have to put that one in. Yeah. In fact, if you do testing according to relevant standards, for example, that is better rather than putting all the ASTM, EN. Just because you need only what between 100 to 300 words. If you put in all those, you cannot put a lot more for your results. Yeah. So all the standards methodology you just mentioned, you don't have to detail out. Reveal your findings by listing the major result from the result section. So think about what you want to put in your abstract. The major ones. This you can look at your conclusion. What are the, because conclusion will give you what are the major things, the findings that you have, and the implication of that. So these are the things that you list down. Answer the question, what are the implications of your findings? Yeah. Then only you arrange your sentence based on the flow, introduction, methods, results, and conclusion. Yeah. So in your introduction, you have your one line of your background of the study, maybe another 1 line or 2 lines for your justification and statement of problems and objective, and then methods, another few lines, and the results and conclusion. So that's how you start off doing your abstract. Yeah, but does not include, it's a big no-no to put information that is not present in the paper, figures and tables. You don't have to put that. Some people do that. Abbreviations, non-standard abbreviations is not allowed. Yeah, if ASTM, for example, fine, but non-standard abbreviations is not allowed. Literature review and reference citation is not allowed. Yeah, these 4 things do not put in your abstract. And then once you have written this, link from one line to another, one sentence to another sentence, and ensure that it is written in past tense. Remember, you are reporting, so everything must be in past tense. Yeah, and check whether the information flows. Yeah, from the introduction, the purpose, the method, the findings, the conclusions, and implication. Yeah, and then again check whether the findings and the implication is as what you have in the paper. It should be parallel. Okay, and then check with the guidelines of the targeted journal. So every journals have their own different guidelines, so you have to follow. Yeah, word limit, type of abstract, the way you write the title, yeah, and so on. And please avoid typographical errors, because sometimes people, if it's so bad, people will just reject it without reading. Yeah. Just a bit explanation on writing the introduction, problem statement, and aim. Yeah. This is the first section, which is very valuable real estate, meaning it's a sellable thing. People will need to understand why you carry out the study, what problem you're trying to solve, what is the objective of the study, what you are trying to find out. Yeah. So well, I don't want to give you this example because this is more of the medical kind of thing. I have other examples. We will look at it later. Let's skip this one. And on the methodology, yeah, that is on the introduction. In describing the methodology, you need to summarize the basic design of your study. Yeah, excessive detail is unnecessary, but you need to mention your key technique use. What are the technique you use for, especially for us, biocomposite and all this, and biological? You need to have what technique you use for your testing, for your analysis and evaluation of your results. Yeah. If you need to do your statistics, mention a bit, just very briefly on the statistics, if it is statistic that you want to study. If it is not, you don't. It is enough just to say that it was statistically analyzed. Yeah, you don't have to further elaborate on that. But if you from biological or clinical fields, you should mention the organism, cell line, population study, because this is very important in biological or clinical fields. Yeah. For engineering, for example, you don't have to do all this. You want to do composite from fiber, pineapple fibers, for example, you don't have to mention what are the species or what. No, it's not important for polymer, for a polymer journal. But it is for biological and macromolecules, it's important. Yeah. So again, depends on the journals that you have chosen. Yeah. So for general technical papers, for engineering or agriculture, forestry, SNT, you should mention sample size also, concentration, dosages, what are testing analysis. This one is quite important for you to mention in a very brief sentence. Yeah. Just this one example on the methodology. 100 consecutive consenting male patients in a state moderately severe, uncomplicated alcohol withdrawal at screening were randomized to receive either lorazepam 8 mg per day. But you can shorten the methodology. Very mouthful this one. Yeah. Chlordiazepoxide 80 mg per day in a bracket with dosing down titrated to 0 in a fixed dose schedule across 8 treatment days. This is a very medical kind of sentence. So we material scientists are not very familiar with this. That's why I do not want to elaborate more on the example. I have other examples. Yeah. Okay. So describing the most important findings of your study. How do you want to describe so many things in such a very little space, very little sentence? Yeah. It's the most important part of your abstract. Yeah, you want to tell people what is your success. So the result subsection should be the longest part of your abstract. So that's why try to keep as little as possible in your introduction, in your methodology, so that you can write more on your results. You can highlight what are the key findings, what are the key conclusion that you have. Yeah. Maximize the amount of detail to be included, yeah, as much as possible. Yeah, an example. Okay, original statement says significant differences in body weight were observed between the animals in groups A and B. That is a sentence. So comment not very informative. You know that the body weight was significantly between animal group A and B. That's all. Don't know what happened, what influenced them, you don't know. But you can improve that by the average body weight loss of animals in group A was greater than of the animals in group B. You know, group A is better by 20.4 gram versus 8.4 gram at P less than 0.01. You know, it's very highly significant. So a lot of information you get from here is these many words. Yeah, here is just say that because this is very frequently found in your abstract. Because when you say significant difference, you want to know how strong is it significant. When you say increase, you want to know how much it increased, by how many percent. If it is improved, by how many percent it improves. So you need to know that. You extract something, how much is the yield? You want to know that. Yeah, so you need to put some values in that. Yeah, so please don't be so brief that you don't put any figure, any values in your abstract. Yeah. Okay, p value as I put here is if it's very effective, so it shows that you don't have to mention significant. You already know that it is highly significant. Yeah, by just putting p less than 0.01. Okay. In the conclusion, that should be 1 or 2 sentences of your last abstract. Yeah, this is the overall take-home message. Again, at the beginning, you mentioned you think about your message. You give the background of your message. You gave what you have done in order to do that, in order to meet your objective, and then what is the overall take-home message. So that is your conclusion. Yeah, so you can just put our study revealed that. Yeah, overall we conclude that. Then you mention, yeah, as concisely as possible. Yeah, if you have other interesting secondary findings, then can be mentioned as well. Yeah, but don't put conclusion more than 2 lines. That is good enough, 2 lines. Finally, consider including a sentence that states the theoretical or practical implications of your work. Many of the studies, sometimes they don't put this implication, because at the end of your study, you need to tell your readers what is your study good for. Okay, you find this will improve this, so what, right? So it's good to have this practical implication at the end of the abstract. Yeah, but do not overstate. Yeah, do not overstate. The novelty, first time, first of its kind, you know, that kind of thing. So be careful. If it is really a first of its kind, then it's fine to put it, but you have to prove it. Yeah. Okay, things to avoid in abstract: strict word count. Yeah, word count limit. Yeah. And abstract shouldn't contain very lengthy background, as I mentioned. 1, 2 lines good enough. Yeah, if you can have 2 lines together with your objective, better. Yeah, no citations. Yeah, don't detail out your routine laboratory. Yeah, details about the statistical method also. Yeah, all software use, no need to put that one in. Yeah, because that is just a tool that you use in order to analyze your data. You don't have to mention it there. Okay, undefined abbreviations or acronyms. Yeah, if it is a common acronyms, you can put in, but not the uncommon one. Yeah, especially students like to put kenang, bamboo, fiber, 30%, 70%. Don't put that in your abstract. People don't understand that, and you waste your work by trying to define what it meant. Yeah, just spell out what is it. Result or interpretation, they are not discussed in the text. Yeah, and then most of all, I think once you have written your abstract, get a second opinion. Ask your colleague to read, especially colleague that is not in your line, so that they can understand. If they can understand, of course, the people who is in your field will understand it. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Prof.
Yeah,
more than 1 hour.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
sikit aja.
Okay, alright.
Sikit aja. Give me 3 minutes. Okay,
Alright.
this is just example. I gave my paper, the slides to Kit Ling. I didn't realize it's too long. Okay, some example you can see. You can compare the difference between the original and the revised one. This is about the complex word. What complex word you use? We usually use nouns like for commercialization, prioritizing, facilitate, viability, all these. Whereas you can use very simple word to describe the same thing. Yeah. Similarly with the phrases, a very complex phrase, you use modified words too much. I just want to highlight this one. Solar One is a solar powered pilot plant located near Vasto, California. Okay, all this. Sorry. This is the example. The top one is the example. This is the modified one. Solar One is a modified word. They're using the modified word. Solar One is a 10 megawatt solar thermal electric central reservoir Vasto power pilot plant. It's one sentence to describe the Solar One. But this one you can divide that into several sentences. Actually, short sentence. Solar One is a solar powered pilot plant located near Vasto, California. Very simple, very clear, right? Solar One produces 10 megawatts of electric power by capturing solar energy in central reservoir design. See, so very complete, very complex sentence to describe Solar One, whereas you can divide into 2. And also complex sentences. This is very important because we do this a lot. We do this, like this one example, you have 61 words, but when you revise, you can only have 23 words of the same meaning. Yeah, so you can look at the others. Yeah, this is again things to avoid, like and the, please use correctly. So this one, Prof will tell you more about this. And some other plural, especially pluralization, equipment known as research. Yeah, this one I saw many people do research. Research tak ada, there's no plural on that. Yeah, it can be plural, it can be singular. Yeah, research, no es. Yeah, so would, could, all this you need to pay attention. This one you can look at the sentence and some of the comments. What are the comments? This one as well, I give you some example. And this is a case study I want to show to you. This is before we revise, and this is after we revise. It looks so much different, sorry. It looks very much different. The title, we change the title to fit in the study. We change the abstract a bit to fit in the study, the content. Yeah, it sounds like the, sorry. This is the one that have got published even within 2 months. Yeah, after we change that, it is more interesting. We put a different one. It's the same study, but with a different, slightly different title. In fact, totally different title and abstract. You can have a look and look at it. Yeah. Okay, this is in summary, abstract, hardest part to write. Second most important part, maximum 200 words, that's between 100 to 300, but many journal wants 200 to 250. What are the significant results you have to put in your abstract? Important methodology, what are the conclusions or implications you must have? And use past tense. Yeah, use past tense. I think with that, thank you very much. You can have a look on the thing. Sorry for taking the Prof. Lokman's masa.